I suppose it's a point. You said that when you're at the table, you've already won quite a bit of the game because the corporate lawyers are there, so to speak, with their 85-page
And that
agreement.
I might be generous. It could be a 285.
Well, it could. It could. Reality is, though, that in my experience, they're quite as happy. They're usually happy to walk away from the table as well. So whilst I agree with you in a certain way, that if you really had something that was truly something they truly desired, then you do have the whip hand, so to speak. But if it's something that they're looking at, and in my experience, they do come and look as well as, then it's a little bit intimidating for us on the other side, and I've put myself in that position sometimes, in the past at least, and you end up going with them to stop them walking away from the table. And
I see. Now, this is where we do part company reasonably profoundly. I think that there's two different things we're talking about, and I think you correctly bring up something else, and that if you're a sufficiently large corporation, I ran a U.S. public company for 4 years, and we had two different teams. We had one team which was a negotiating team. They were there to cut a deal. We had another group of people, much more junior, who were out there to tell us what was going on in the world. And they never made any deals at all, ever. But they had the same titles, because if they had a title that said, we're never going to buy anything from you, we just want to know what you know, as a rule, they didn't get a lot of meetings. But if we put a title on them, just like the guys who had the title that says, we do corporate deals and we license technology, the fact of the matter is, the training path to become the senior guy who does deals is to be the junior guy who's not allowed to. But, and I would assert, it is reasonably knowable. There's lots of indirect indicia that can tell you a great deal about who's at the table. From the trivial, how old are they, to the profound, where is the central headquarters of the company, and is the subsidiary in the UK a sales and marketing subsidiary, or do they do any of their back-end manufacturing, any processes that are not sales and marketing in country? And there's probably another 20 indicia that if you looked at them in the sum would give you very strong sense. So if, for example, if they have a sales and marketing headquarters here, but they have no back-end operations, and the person at the table reports on a direct line back to California and an indirect line to the local agency, that person's a looky-loo and has no power and might as well just knock them out of the office before you start. In fact, you might as well say to them, since you can't do anything, why are you here? As a way of saying hello. I encourage it. Because they can't, and they know they can't. And they'll say to you, of course, oh, but I can't. Say, do tell me, what was your last deal? And they'll say, well, I worked on this deal. Ah, you see those words already. I love corporate speak. I worked on. It's the classic resume stuffer. I worked on means I was the looky-loo who happened to be in town when the big guy flew in. And you can call those people up. You can ask for references on him. After all, you're academics. They think you're bullshit anyways. You might as well live up to the reputation. I'm American. People think that I'm blunt, so I've become more blunt living over here. It's fantastic. I do think that you're correct, though. Just because somebody's in your office doesn't mean they're buying. But I would differentiate between the two, and I think it's always incumbent on somebody who is going to, licensing is a very close relationship in some ways and a very distant one in others. And people are always quite surprised in a licensing relationship because it's very intense for a while. And you're trying to compete and negotiate and get something done. And then it's over, and you just kind of sit there. And all you've got is your periodic right of knowledge. You know, once a quarter you get a report, or once half a year you get a report. You don't really know what's going on. The only time they want to talk to you is when they've messed up your license and they want to come back and they want to talk to you about why it isn't working or why they need help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it does actually go through a bit of a schizophrenic, oh my God, they don't love me anymore section. They don't love you anymore. They didn't love you before, though, so it's okay. Other questions or thoughts?